Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again with you tuning in on the radio dial here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM or through WYADonline.com. We're glad that you all could be with us. Also, those joining us are our online affiliates around the world, including Conversations Radio Network and our friends at iHeartRadio. We're glad you guys can be with us, too. We're excited to welcome singer-songwriter Krysta Young to our program today. We're going to talk to Krysta not only about her love of music, but also what it's been like for her to do what she loves and, of course, to be able to share that with all of you. And she's already starting off 2019 in a big way. We'll talk to her a little bit about that, but also just about the overall journey of being able to have had a vision for her life and then, of course, to be able to see all the great things coming her way. Krysta, hello to you, and welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, glad to do it. So, first of all, let's talk about the year that's already been 2019 for you, Krysta. As I said, you already are riding high on a very big start to the year. I mean, what has it been like for you to be able to take your love of music and to be able to share it the way you have been?
Honestly, this year has been the best year I have ever had, and it's only April, so I feel like I'm doing pretty well.
Right.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, last year I went to Korea twice, which was a huge thing for me because I have massive travel anxiety. And so last year was kind of like my building year of, I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to do things that scare me, and I'm just going to go for it. And so I put in the work in 2018, and 2019 has been so kind already. So it's been pretty incredible.
Right. And I think the big thing for you, and I actually mentioned this to you before we began the segment, Krysta, the thing that I think is really, to me, is the overarching theme of your life is to be able to recognize what you want to do, keep your head down, and go for it, because you never know where the doors will open. Has that kind of been the thing that you've kind of seen kind of unfold for yourself?
Yes, and I think I credit my dad so much because the entire time I was growing up, he would always say, the only way that you won't win is if you quit. And so that's kind of been my motto my entire life, and you just keep going and keep going. And I'm not saying that it hasn't been hard. I mean, I've spent many days in bed going, what am I doing with my life? Am I doing the right thing? But I always get up the next day, and I always keep pushing and keep working towards the goal because that, for me, is the only option. I love making music. I always have, and there's just no other option. And I'm a huge believer in not having a backup plan. I've never had a backup plan because I believe when you have a backup plan, you fall back. And so I'm very goal-oriented. I'm huge into the law of attraction. That has changed my life, I got to be honest, over the last 3 to 4 years of just really practicing, like, the mindset, believing that I already have it, which is kind of it's very interesting because that had a lot to do with this BTS cut that I got.
Right. And for our audience that don't know, what Krysta's talking about is that she had the opportunity to co-write a song called Home that BTS, of course, released this year. One of the big things that's happened for her in 2019, for sure. The other thing that I thought I was, when I was prepping for your segment, Krysta, I was on soundbetter.com. And there was a great conversation, of course, where you did a Q&A back and forth about, about yourself and, about this journey for you. And one of the things that I thought, was so telling about you, the question was, what do you like most about your job? And you said that I get to create something from nothing. So my question would be for you, what came first, your love of singing or your love of writing?
It's interesting because I grew up around music. My grandmother played piano by ear, and so I was always around music. And when I was 4 years old, my mom put me in kinder music, and I started playing the xylophone, and they were like, she's really good. You should put her in piano lessons. So I started piano lessons, and then when I was taking piano lessons, I started, like, writing little songs up for the piano. And so I feel like it just kind of came at the same time. The singing thing, I think maybe when I was 6 or 7, I was singing around the house, and I was actually with my grandmother, the one that plays piano by ear. And I looked at her, and I was like, I think I can sing. And she's like, I think you can too. And so it's been an organic journey of both things. And it's funny that you asked me that, what came first, because it's something that I've never been able to separate in my career. Like, do I enjoy singing more? Do I enjoy writing more? And I have always said that I enjoy it the most when it's together, when I'm singing the songs that I write.
Right. So when you have an experience then, Krysta, like what you're having this year with, and I should say there are other well-known artists that you've been able to write for as well, but this experience with BTS, when you see someone resonating so much with this song and knowing, what Julia and you were able to do with it, I mean, how does that feel to have your words being amplified through someone else?
Well, Julia Ross and I have actually talked about this. She co-wrote the song with me, and it has been, one, incredible to have a band who I already love record and co-write a song on their album with me. Like, that's amazing. And two, the response from the fans has been overwhelming. And I think for two reasons. One, because you can see and you can hear how much they love BTS. And I feel like I'm one of them. I am one of the fans as well as one of the contributors. And two, the fans have such a love for the songwriters. And I think that, the American music industry could really take a hint from them, because they're just so involved, and they take the time to tell me how much they appreciate what I've done. And so that relationship and that, communication back and forth has been incredibly rewarding for me as a songwriter. So it's great because I get that part of it, and then I actually have, BTS believes in what we wrote, what Julia and I wrote, enough to put it on the album. So it's kind of like a win-win.
Right. Gotcha. And it's only going to continue. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome singer-songwriter Krysta Youngs to our program today. We're talking to Krysta not only about her love of music, but what it's been like for her to share that both, of course, through her words as well as through her voice. So when you hear from someone, you mentioned, of course, the BTS fans, Krysta, but when you hear from others about how something you have done has made them feel, I mean, does that kind of help you to really appreciate that you are on the path that you're supposed to be on?
Yes, because I was that person, and that's why I started music in the first place. Music has helped me. I mentioned earlier that I have travel anxiety, and so obviously I went to college in Boston. I'm from Michigan, so I had to get on a plane multiple times, and every single time I get on a plane, including the last trip to Korea, I listen to music because it gives me the strength to get on the plane and to stay on the plane and to be like, you know what? I'm going to listen to this song. It's going to make everything okay. It's going to pump me up, and I'm going to get on that plane and I'm going to conquer my fears. And so that music has been a constant thread in my life to help me overcome everything that was scary.
So, I mentioned that you've been able to write for others as well, and of course we're going to let our audience know how they can stay connected with you. Krysta, what about the pushing of yourself? I love the fact that what you said. I think one of the big takeaways already in what you've shared here, there are two things. One was when you talked about not having a backup plan, because if you have one, then you'll fall back. And I think that's a great reminder for our audience, the importance of staying true to what you want to do. But I think also being able to face the fear. What do you think has kind of given you the courage to face it? Because I think for a lot of creatives, I think you'd agree that's the big thing, right? Even if we believe we're talented, the fear of what other people may think, the fear of what may or may not happen kind of stops them. What is it that kind of keeps you pressing forward in spite of the fear?
I think if I didn't love music so much, I would have quit a long time ago. And so it not having that not be an option keeps me going. Because like I said, there have been many days where I've gotten, really sad and been like, what am I doing with my life? And then I wake up the next morning and I'm like, nope, because I love writing songs and I love singing songs. And every hard situation in my life, I have to be grateful for them because they help me write songs, and I'm here right now talking to you because of those hard times. I've been sober for 4 years. I quit drinking. My family life hasn't always been, amazing with my parents. And there have just been many things that I've had to overcome in my life, and they were hard, but they brought me here. And I remember that every time I deal with something that's hard. It's like there's a payoff for being able to see it through the other side.
Well, I think that's a great reminder again for all of us. So, Krysta, let's talk about the what's next. We've talked about how this year started for you. What should our audience be looking out for next?
Well, I'm finishing up an album. I did an acoustic album called Use Your Imagination, and it has 8 songs on it. I'm so excited. It's been a couple years in the making. And I'm just now getting that mixed, and it will come out at the end of the year. But in the meantime, I am kind of figuring out who I want to collab with on the produced versions. So I don't know if you've heard of Splice, but Splice is an amazing website for producers and musicians, and I did a vocal sample pack for them a couple months ago.
Okay.
That has been just incredible. So people take my voice and they sample it in their productions. And so I'm doing a little collab with Splice on a couple of the songs off the album. So that's coming up, which I'm stoked about. And then working with some producers who I love on produced versions of those songs, so they'll come out as singles, and doing some, behind the song videos to come up on Instagram, so definitely check me out and follow me on Instagram. So there's going to be a lot of content, and I'm working with a couple of very cool artists, actually, on their projects, and so their music is coming out as well, and I can't wait for the world to hear them.
Well, I think that's a great segue then. So, Krysta, you mentioned Instagram. Let our audience know, how can they find you there?
Instagram is at Krysta Youngs, so KrystaYoungs. I'm on that the most, so if you want to connect, definitely follow me on Instagram.
All right. Well, Krysta, congratulations to you on what's going to be an amazing 2019. I know a lot of great things are coming your way, and I hope you'll come back. We'd love to have you share with us again.
I will come back anytime for you.
I appreciate that, Krysta. Thank you so much. Definitely want to thank our good friend Zach Tepperman for setting up this conversation for us today. And thank all of you, our audience, for joining us, both on the radio side and online, for another great segment of Conversations Live. If you all came in late, you missed part of the conversation with Krysta, don't worry. Thanks to our online friends, you all can catch the replay right as we go off the air. The link is already available to our social media site, so head over to facebook.com/CyrusWebb or go to twitter.com/CyrusWebb. If you click on the link there, you can listen to the show completely for free and share with your friends from there, too. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Let's make it a great one.